Church, I want to talk to you today about interdependence. That's all I told Brother Marlon when they asked, what's the title of your sermon? I just said interdependence. Well, Reverend Gerald, is there something more you can say to that? That's enough, interdependence. I want to talk about interdependence because we need it right now. We need it because it is time for us to recognize all of us who are here. Recognize. So I thought, well, first of all, I probably need, because there's some folks that say, I don't really know that guy up there, to let you know who I am, because I am called an affiliate minister. And some folks might say, well, what does that mean, affiliate minister? It means that I am a minister at another church. I'm affiliated with this church as well. But my church is Church of the Restoration Unitarian Universalists, where I'm the minister. I've been there since 1999. It's time to go home, I know. 1999. Well, anyway, Church of the Restoration is more than just a body of folk, church called out. We have what we call the House of Restoration, because we have 4 worshiping communities and we have 4 nonprofits who all call the House of Restoration home. Well, the first, of course, in the worshiping community, we have Church of Restoration UU. We have the Humanist Association of Tulsa. Now, you might say, the Humanist Association of Tulsa, why aren't they here? Well, they're over yonder. And the Humanist Association of Tulsa, on the first Sunday of each month, they have the worship. And they do the worship at Humanist Association of Tulsa. So that's the second worshiping community. Third one is the Pilgrim Mennonite Church. Pilgrim Mennonite. Now, some of y'all may know Philip Maurice Brubaker and his wife Sarah. They're members of the Pilgrim Mennonite Church. And the fourth worshiping community is the Muslim American community. And they have Jummah on Friday prayers there, and any other event is there at home, Church of the Restoration. Well, we have our 4 nonprofits. They include the Greenwood Chamber of Commerce, the Greenwood Neighborhood Association, the North Tulsa Historical Society, the Tulsa Peace Fellowship, and the African Ancestral Society. So all of these folks are in the House of Restoration. And I just want to let you know I come from somewhere, you know. So, so that is one of the things that we pride upon there is our interdependence. We rely upon one another. All of those folks work together in some kind of way, that synergy that works, rely upon one another. We had an event last winter where our water main broke and all water was everywhere. And we called on the people who are the House of Restoration, and they came and they mopped up everything and got everything good. And we still needed to repair the water main broke, and I called the southern region of the UUA. And I said, we have a disaster up here, and we need some help. If you could help us do this. And they said, well, Reverend Gerald, we're sorry, we love you, but we don't do water main breaks. We do hurricanes, floods, tornadoes, natural disasters. I said, well, there was a natural disaster. This, we didn't do it on purpose, Things happen like that. And they said, no, I'm sorry, Reverend Gerald, we can't help you. And I was saying, what? And they said, Reverend Gerald, have you called your friends? And I said, well, no, but I'll do that. And we did. And our friends responded. Our friends came through and we got the water main repaired. And we have water now, and we have all these good things, heat and air and all that stuff, because the people responded. Now that to me is called interdependency. We rely upon one another, And I called back to the Southern region, and I said, you know what? Thank you very much. We didn't think to call our friends, but we appreciate you reminding us about interdependency, being interdependent. So that is where I'm from, and that is what I believe in, and especially right now, given the fact of all the things that have happened since November the 5th, we are in a place where we need to be interdependent, rely upon one another. So that's the first thing I want to give you all, that who the house of restoration is. The second thing is this interdependency with restoration didn't just happen when we say, let's do this. We were, so to speak, christened to have that interdependency. And that is, in our hymnals, there is a lot of affirmations. And one of them on 576 is called A Litany of Restoration. That was written by Marjorie Bowens Wheatley, and she wrote that for us when we became a worshiping community. This was her present to us, a litany of restoration. And in that litany of restoration, it begins with if, because if is an important word. Not everybody gets it, but if you do, if recognizing the interdependence of all, if recognizing the interdependence of all, thus we strive. I know this. We strive to build community. The strength we gather will be our salvation. I want to say it right. If recognizing the interdependence of all, we strive to build community, the strength we gather will be our salvation. That is our litany of restoration. That is what we are all about. And that is what all of us should be all about. Because it is about understanding that we are not alone. We are part of one another. We need each other, church. If we don't believe that, then we will sit down and say, poor me. But poor me doesn't make it. We are equipped with what we need to make it happen. So you ask, you tell people what we need. You tell people what needs to happen, and then folks who will respond or not. But there's always someone who will. And that response is also, it's not just material things. It's things that help us get by. It's that spiritual part of us, that part of us that says, I need people who are thinking and loving around me. I need to have those kind of folk around me because it helps me so much to move on. Well, that is what we do. When you're interdependent, you acknowledge that that's what we need to do. Now, here's the point. The point is that when we strive to build community, the strength we gather will be our salvation. See, it is when we build community. Building community is not easy, as we know. When you're trying to build something, it takes work. And sometimes you fail. Sometimes you don't get it done. But you keep on trying to get it done. And that building is what is so important to community. Nothing is just going to happen just because we snap our fingers. We build community by working hard at it. And when you work hard at it, that includes the failures, when the things fall. Now, I know politics is often something that makes us chafe, especially in church. We don't like to talk about politics. But I can do that because I'm an affiliate minister. And so I'm going to tell you how hurt I was when Kamala lost. I'm telling you that. It hurt my heart because I just knew this is America is making that turn. We're going to be led by a black woman. And she's going to give us what we all need. She's going to tell us what needs why the cow ate the cabbage. She's going to do that. And I was so excited about that possibility, but it didn't happen. And it hurt my heart. Because I said, my goodness, now I know my brother Marlon's going to say, everyone is welcome in this church. It's not just, and that's good, that's true. It's true, it is. But I'm talking about me right now. All right? I'm telling you how I felt. And I felt hurt. Because I said, how could you do this, America? What's the matter? This was, why would you do this? Why? You know what's going to happen with the orange head. You know what he's going to do. You know what's coming. Why would you do that? But they did. Now, does that mean that I'm just out? I don't care, put my middle finger up and just walk away? No, I cannot do that. I am grounded in this faith that says love will conquer. Love will make it right. And I know sometimes things don't go right. I'm not foolish, I know that. But that doesn't mean that we quit and we walk away. That means that we double down and we bring in our friends. Come on. We bring in our friends and we say to our friends, I need you to help me do this, just like with that water main break. And it's like, yes, I need you. Well, here we are. And we can make things happen on the local level. Between me and you, we won on the local level. Yes, Monroe. That's right. Okay, back to politics. I'll put that aside. All right. But the point I'm trying to get to, y'all, is that it's not over. It's not over. We cannot just throw up our hands and say, okay, that's it. I mean, we may feel that way at first, but that's not how we stand, because we are interdependent. We recognize the interdependent of all of us. The trees, the grass, the animals, everything. They know interdependency. They know how to be interdependent, and we do too. We know how to help one another. That's how we work it. And that's what is so important. That is what is so true, that we have to rely upon interdependent. Being interdependent doesn't mean that you are less than. Being independent means that you called in the troops. You called in the posse. You said, I need a little help. Doesn't mean that you're less than. It means that you brought people in to help you get through this. Because we're all going to get through this. Yes, we will. We will make it. And it's not going to always be easy. We know that. We know all the history of the United States. Maybe you don't know the history. You're being told not to look at the history or read it a whole different way. But let me tell you, folk, I remember the history. I was part of the history, right? I was a kid, 13 years old. I was 13 years old. That was 1963. I was in the 7th grade. And in Sapulpa, Oklahoma, where I grew up, we were segregated in schools. So we all went to different schools, white schools and the black school. But if you got in junior high, in the 7th grade, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, you got to play with the white players, because we were bused over to the gym to play together, right? And then you had to walk home, though. The bus didn't. So we had to walk home. But you bussed us over to play in the gym. And so there we were. We were learning how to play basketball and playing with folks who were white, those black kids. Well, we played a game in Okmulgee, Oklahoma. And Okmulgee, Oklahoma is just down the road. And we played the game. And 7th grade was over, 8th grade went there. And so my friend Larry and I went over to the hamburger place where all the other players were going to get a hamburger. And we went over there, and we waited in line, and finally it was our turn, and we gave the order, and we waited, and the person came back, and she brought out 2 bags. And I said, no, we're going to eat here, like our friends over here. We need a tray, so we're going to eat inside. And she kept holding the bags. And I said, it's cold outside, it's snowing. I said, we want to eat inside. And she kept holding the bags, looking. And then finally, my friend Larry said, Gerald, let's go. And I didn't know. I was confused. I couldn't understand, except that I got the bag, and we turned around and started walking out. And our players, our teammates, started laughing at us. And so we walked past them, went outside, and I was hurt. I threw my bag away. Larry said, give me that. I said, Larry, man, this is wrong, man. It's cold out here and it's snowing, and she wouldn't let us eat inside. Larry kept eating. I walked into the gym and I quit the team. I said, I don't want to play anymore with you all. Those were the bad old days, church. Those were bad old days that we don't ever want to see happen again. That was legal. Do you understand? That was legal in the United States of America. That was legal. What we were doing was illegal, playing basketball with those guys. That was illegal. But it was legal to say you can't eat in our restaurant. Now, isn't that ridiculous? But that's what our country, no, we can't lie about that and say our country never did that. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. They did a whole lot of horrible things that wanted to separate us. But I'm talking about interdependency this morning, being interdependent. It's saying that, no, that won't work again. You're not going to separate us again. We're going to have an opportunity to be authentic about who we are. And we're going to do that without going through any kind of problem that says, that's not allowed here. No, we're going to do that. It's not just sports. It's not just education. It's in everything. We want everybody to be a part of something that says, I think I can add to this. That's that interdependent, being interdependent, something you can give. So I want us to understand how important it is to have that litany of restoration on our heart, because it tells me that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be interdependent. We're supposed to be able to say to one another, yes, we can. We can build community. We can build that community. And that community has to be built. I'm not talking about something that, it's a wish. No, it has to be. That's our job, is to build that community. Now, it's funny. I'm reminded whenever I think about community and church, I think about my homiletics professor. Homiletics in seminary is the art of preaching. And of course, everybody wants to take that class because everybody wants to know how to preach real good, Everybody. I'm not talking about just my seminary that I graduated from, Pittsburgh Theological Seminary. Our most famous graduate is Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. Right. Mr. Rogers wasn't about preaching, but he's a Presbyterian minister. Right? So I'm telling you, it's not just hooping that folks want to do. Folks want to be able to stand up and speak the word, right? So they hurriedly pack homiletics classes. And I remember my homiletics professor saying that everybody was sitting down ready with pens, ready, let's go. Tell me some stories about what I need to do so I can preach. And my homiletics professor said, let me tell you all something. Let me disabuse you of the fact that you think people come to church to hear you preach. People come to church because of the community. They want to build community. That's why people come to church. And you know yourself, when you're coming to church, you're talking to other folk you haven't seen or you have seen, or you're telling them what's been going on with them. That's community. That's what holds a church together, community. But Marjorie Bowen-Wheatley is telling us that when we build community, the strength we gather from that will be our salvation. Not something outside of ourselves, but what happens when we build community. It is essential to build community, and this church builds community. You have all kinds of opportunities to build community in this church. The Justice League, I love that. The Justice League has all kinds of opportunities. Not everything is going to be nice. Not everything is going to be perfect, but that's the whole point of strengthening. The strength we gather from working to build community, that is what will keep us moving on. So I tell that story to tell you this, that this congregation and this place right here, my humanist friends, this place right here, you are the soul. Can I barely say that? You are the soul of this church. You are the soul because you are the ones to say, how about this? On the other hand, how about that? And let's look at this. You point the way to say, can there be other ways to see, feel, hear, and understand? Yes, it can be. And it has to come from folk who are rooted in this place. Now, when I'm talking about being interdependent, and this day is World AIDS Day, I cannot let this day go by without telling you a story that happened back in the 80s when AIDS was just ravishing communities. When he was doing that, I was the associate director of Tulsa Metropolitan Ministry. That's when Sister Sylvia Schmidt was the executive director. And by the way, the day of her passing is December 3rd. She passed in 2019. But Sister Sylvia was magnificent. She was wonderful. And she would say, Gerald, I want you to do da-da-da-da-da. I said, Sylvia, I don't know, Gerald. You need to do this. And she would say it in such a way I've never said no to Sister Sylvia. And so she said, the Regional AIDS Interfaith Network is getting started. And she put me on the board. I became a board member of the Regional AIDS Interfaith Network. And Rain, that's it. Rain was doing what was then, you think now, that's all, but it was so important. People would not touch folks with HIV or AIDS. They thought it could be caught. You could get it from, so people were alone by themselves. It was horrible. And so Rain started developing care teams. And this church was one of the ones that had a group of folks doing this. I was given the position of recruiting, and so I called every black congregation in North Tulsa. I called them and told them about the training that we were doing with care teams for folks suffering from HIV/AIDS. Everyone said, no, we don't want that, except one, Reverend Henry Collier from Metropolitan Baptist Church. Now, we know Metropolitan Baptist up there on Apache, but this was a small church just north of 36th Street North on Hartford. And Reverend Henry Collier said to me, yes, we want to do this. We cannot turn our backs on our brothers and sisters who have this. He said, bring this. He said, what time you want to do this? The day of it, we did. I went there with the care team that was showing them what to do. I was amazed all these black folk were there. That Henry Collier, Reverend Collier, had called them and said, yes, you will do that. You will. We cannot turn our backs. And they were there, and they did, and they learned. I will always love what Dr. Henry Collier did, because it takes courage. It takes courage to be real. It takes courage to be authentic. He didn't care that some folks would push back, like all those other ministers that said no. And I'm talking about big churches that said no. He said yes. He said yes to the truth, to the interdependent. He said yes to that. We all need each other. We need to rely upon each other. So that's where we are. That's where we are right now. We need to rely upon each other, because I don't know what the future holds, but I know I need you. I need all of you, and you need me. And that's the way it's supposed to be. I will be with you, and you will be with me, because we can overcome that which says you can't. Yes, there will be some times that we are down, but we must rise up. And when we rise up knowing that we have done it before and we can do it again. This place is a place of unity. We may not be all in agreement with everything, but one thing we do know, that love will conquer all.